Hello there. Owing to the magnificently wonderful fact that you, my fellow human being, clicked on this video, my unconscious signals me that your unconscious wants you to watch this video. Maybe because of an unresolved problem that you are not even recognizing at this moment. Like you have an addiction to chubby cat videos and chubby cat pictures and you want to stop but you can't, and creating this whole channel, watching this video, is just a false pretense to deepen your addiction. Okay, but what is this whole video about? You guessed it right, you genius mastermind! Jung. Carl Gustav Jung, or Carl Gustav Jung, I don't know. Carl Gustav Jung. Let's be a little serious for a moment. Jung is kind of like a hero to me because he saw things and connections in relations with our psyche that are still standing and created valid theories that are still standing and are the basics of understanding our psyche and our soul. In an era where psychology is not really a thing, it doesn't really exist. Nobody knows about this stuff except a sexually overheated middle-aged guy that we call Freud. Okay, in reality, in the beginning of Jung's career, there were some people who knew about this stuff. There were some doctors and so-called psychologists that knew about this stuff, but you know, it was a fresh subject. Nobody really knew how to understand our psyche. Nobody really knew about our psyche, or nobody really knew theories about the psyche. You had to figure it out somehow by yourself. But Jung's thoughts, the roots of his theories, were so groundbreaking that we use these principles as psychologists even this day. If I can be quarter of the man he is, I would be much shorter and I would be still honored to have this much knowledge about our psyche. Let's talk about Jung. Jung, sorry. In Hungary we call it Jung, call him Jung, so it's really hard to say Jung because we say Jung and not Jung. So sorry, Jung. Let's talk about Jung. When Jung was young, so Jung was a doctor originally, like every psychologist at the time. He specialized at psychiatry. At the time, it was usual for doctors, especially for young ones, to live in a hospital, so he did that. When he was living there, he met a bunch of psychotic patients. Who are psychotic people? What is a psychotic episode? It means that at a particular period of time, you lose control of reality. You don't know what's what. Imagine it like you are on LSD and you see angels and demons and UFOs at the same time. But it can happen to all of your senses: auditory, visual, kinesthetic, and smell. I have no idea how to say smell in a scientific way. No idea. So smell. So you can't stay in reality. That's a psychotic episode. That's psychosis. Jung met a lot of people with this symptom daily, and Jung's goal was to understand these people, really understand these people. He realized that they are people as well with personalities, distorted personalities, but with personalities nevertheless. They are people and he didn't want to alienate them. At the time, it was extremely ahead of time thinking. Even these days, people can treat psychiatric patients as madmen or as crazy or as insane. I'm not saying that they are not different. It is important to understand that people are different, color, gender, culture, and in a lot of ways. And sometimes we have to treat each other in different ways, especially in the case of psychiatric patients, because one of the reasons why they are in a hospital is because they are having trouble integrating into our societies. But it is important to declare that they are humans as well. They have personalities as well, and we need to treat them as one. Enough with this philosophical bypass. So everybody has to be treated as humans, except for the people who hate the Avatar kid show. Man, there is a whole room in hell for those people. Welcome to heaven, my child. Wow, it's beautiful. Hi, Grandma. Hi, Uncle Joe. Oh my God, Robin Williams. The Dalai Lama? That's weird. Wasn't he supposed to reincarnate or something? Yes. But he would be a cow in his next life. So in his last seconds, he decided that maybe he would try out this Christianity thing, and now he's watching Shrek all day long with us. You watch Shrek all day long? Yes. It's basically all that we do here. And watch the Avatar, the kid show. I don't like the Avatar. Well, I have news for you, my child. On with the video! Let's talk about Jung. He created a new approach in psychology, which is called Analytical complex psychology. But what does this magical phrase mean? Well, analytical because he created this from the original psychoanalysis, which was created by Freud, the big, the great, the sexually overheated middle-aged genius. So he didn't really generate a whole new perspective, but he concentrated and focused on different things. Complex because the complexes has important roles regarding our psyche. I'm going to talk about complexes a lot in this video, so don't worry, you will get it. So, analytical complex psychology. With time, time, the complex just vanished and only analytical psychology remained. But why did Jung, the promising prodigy and student of Freud, diverge from Freud? Well, because of a girl, like every great start of every great soap opera, and because he was thinking differently regarding our psyche. But what is this difference? How was Jung thinking differently regarding our psyche? Firstly, Jung created a new concept regarding the unconscious, which is called the collective unconscious. He thought that there exists a whole part of the unconscious that is a segment of the deepest unconscious mind, which is genetically inherited and it is not shaped by personal experience. It means that somewhere in our minds there exists a container which contains a bunch of unconscious knowledge about our past, about our existence, about our culture, which were inherited by or from our ancestors. It was inherited from our ancestors. We can call this knowledge symbols or myths or eternal truths about our existence. Whatever we call them, they are unconscious and unconsciously give us information about our world and about our existence. It is a very appealing theory, isn't it? With our modern technology, psychologists, neuropsychologists and biologists found that there are genes that can be influenced by our experience and that we can pass these genes on. It means that if something significant happens in your life, like a life-changing experience or like a trauma, a gene is formed or altered, and if you have kids before this life-changing experience, your kids wouldn't have those genes, but if you have kids after this life-changing experience or trauma, there's a chance that your kid will have those genes. It's mind-blowing. Your experience form your thinking and form yourself and can even influence others such as your child. That's okay. But your child can even inherit your genes formed by your experience. That's mind-blowing. What the f? And Jung just somehow thought about it. What the hell, man? Without any high-tech help. Well, Freud thought that this theory was bullshit. So this is one of the reasons why Jung and Freud really broke up. Okay, so hear me out. You know, there is the unconscious. Yes, I am aware of that. It is me who found out about this wonderful idea. Yeah, okay. So, what if... No, just hear me out, man. Okay. So your brilliant idea, the unconscious, is valid. I'm not saying that it isn't. It's valid. But, you know, maybe there is a... No, collective unconscious. Collective unconscious. There's a collective part of our unconscious. Is it like a sex thing? No, not a sex thing. Not everything is about sex. Take that back! You're a disgrace! Everything is about sex! Everything is about sex! Take that back! No! Take that back! No! Take that back! The second reason why Freud and Jung broke up is because Freud thought about the unconscious as a part of our brains which can only cause aggression, and it is full of aggression. It is basically a bad thing. It can only cause bad things. On the other hand, Jung thought about the unconscious as a greater thing. It can help us improve ourselves and help us motivate ourselves it can really motivate us to improve ourselves and grow as human beings. It is not an inherently bad thing. It has parts which can cause destruction, yes, but it also can help us improve ourselves. There's a beautiful quote about the unconscious by Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. I'm pretty sure you have already heard this quote, but I think it's a great quote, because your unconscious can lead you to bad things and to good things. It doesn't really matter. The key here is to make the unconscious visible, is to make the unconscious conscious and make the unconscious visible for yourself so you can understand yourself better. Damn, that sounded like some Paulo Coelho shit, but nevertheless it's true. So, complexes. Let's talk about complexes. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Freud would be really proud of me right now. This will be the last topic of this video. By the way, I'm going to make another video about Jung because I can't just collect all of his great work in a 10-minute long videos. It's just not enough. So stay tuned for that. Woo! The American Psychological Association defines complexes as a group or system of related ideas or impulses that have a common emotional tone and exert a strong but usually unconscious influence on the individual's attitude and behavior. Let's find out what a complex means. A complex is an unconscious content which is basically an association. A lot of smaller content can be associated and connected to a complex by one central feature. This central feature can be anything like pain or suffering or mother or power or anything. It is something that is unconscious and somehow very important and emotional at the same time for a person. How many of you heard the term sibling complex or mother complex? If somebody has a mother complex, it means that he or she has an unconscious system in his or her psyche brain, in relations with the concept of a mother, which is emotionally heavily loaded, and when something triggers one of the many parts of this complex, it can cause disturbance in his or her psyche. Wow, that was hard to explain, but I think I've managed to fool you to think that I know what a complex is. In reality, I was thinking about chubby cats the whole time. So complexes exists in all of us. Everybody has complexes. Like Jesus. I mean, got complex much? But complexes can be useful as well. They are not inherently bad. It is logical if you think about the collective unconscious as well. It's also not inherently bad. And there are normative complexes as well. It means that due to the fact that you are watching this video, and I assume that if you are watching this video, there's a 90%, at least a 90% chance that you were born, you will meet developmental crises or crisis. I have no idea what's the plural for crisis. No idea. For example, a sibling complex. It is a normative complex at a certain age. Your mother starts to care for another human being than you, and it's a new experience for you at the time, at a certain age, of course. If you manage to resolve this crisis, then from the sibling complex, you can acquire a new creative power. That's how Jung calls it, a creative power. Of course, the resolving of this whole complex is only possible if the environment is really supporting you. But if you can't resolve this problem, this crisis, then this complex remains with you and will control your life whenever this complex is triggered. What are the solutions of complexes? You have 4 options. The examples I'm making will be about sibling complex. The first solution is that it remains unconscious. You will be jealous of everybody who is somewhat of a sibling figure to you. The second solution is identification. You will identify yourself as jealous. You will say that I was always the jealous type. This is who I am. Just deal with it. The third solution is projection. If there's a problem regarding jealousy, it is always the environment who is the culprit. It is never your fault. It is never your fault. It is always others' fault. And fourthly, tell me, English speaking people, how do you say fourthly? Fourthly? No idea. Maybe I just can't form my tongue in the right way. I have no idea, but I can say fourthly. I don't know, fourthly. So, fourthly, confrontation with the complex. Understand the complex, understand yourself better. So what Jung said doesn't really apply to you. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Well, that was a nice ending, wasn't it? I think Jung was ahead of his time regarding psychology. By the way, as I have said before, I'm gonna make another video about Jung, so stay tuned for that. If you have a subscribing complex, I recommend dealing with it, face the fear, and just hit that subscribe button. Thank you. And in the comments, just tell me about your day. What happened in your day? What did you eat for breakfast? I'm really curious. Just tell me about what happened. Just tell me about your day. I'm really curious. Love yourself and bye.